What is up, everybody out there in OH Report land and beyond? My name is Travis Big League Berardi, and it is time again for another edition of our Area Stat Leaders, brought to you by Pinnacle Building Services. If your business needs cleaned up, Pinnacle Building Services are the ones to do it for you. They will leave your place spotless. And some of these players you're about to see this week have some spotless numbers coming their way for their spotless teams. We have teams that are still 5-0 after the midway point of the regular season, and they're showing off. So are their teams, and that's why they are at the tops of their conferences and, for some cases, the top of the state rankings. But without further ado, let's get right into things and take a look first at your passing leaders through 5 weeks. First off, at number 10, Mohawks and Klaus, a bounce-back victory for Mohawk after their loss to Colonel Crawford in the Battle of Unbeatens and state-ranked squads. Well, he has his team back on the right foot, 4-1, 765 pass yards, 9 touchdowns. A new one into the top 10 this week, and that is Northmore's Tanner Miley. Tanner getting into the countdown thanks to his 218 passing yard performance against the Danville Blue Devils. A big bounce back win for the Golden Knights after falling to Centerburg in a tough one. But Tanner Miley has the Golden Knights back on track as he threw for no touchdowns. He ran for 2, but helped the Golden Knights get back into the win column. At number 8, Braden Parsons of West Holmes, over 800 yards passing through half of the season. 53 completions, 10 touchdowns, 15 yards per completion. Leon Kuhn of the Crestview Cougars at number 7 into this countdown. 820 passing yards, 54 completions, only 4 touchdowns. But the Cougars have bounced back, and they are now 3-2 after a tough start. 0-2, 3 straight for Liam Kuhn. Nathan Bernhard of the Ashland Arrows. They are a squad that once again wants to make a run and also wants to win an OCC championship. He is in at number 6 with 828 passing yards, 13.8 yards per completion, 10 passing touchdowns. He also has quite a few rushing touchdowns for the recruit to App State. Now to number 5, and Cale Lewis of the Hillsdale Falcons. The Falcons rolling at 5-0, and it is because not only of the rushing attack, but because of the passing attack of Mr. Cale Lewis. Cale, 151 pass yards, 2 touchdowns against the Downton Bulldogs on Friday night. A game that they were a little nervous going into, but pretty much rolled in that victory. That sets up 5-0 versus 5-0 Hillsdale taking on Smithville. A game you'll see live and free. I'll be on the call with Ken Parrott Friday night. Homecoming for the Falcons. Hopefully they don't overlook that as they take on a good Smithy squad. Now to number 4, Grant Coonley of the St. Paul Flyers. Nearly hit 1,000 yards passing through 5 weeks. He's at 921 passing yards. Now to the top 3. Chase Smith of the River Valley Vikings is over 1,000 yards passing this season. He's at 1,031 yards, just behind our number 2 passer. He has 81 completions, 11 touchdowns, but our number 2 got bumped out of the top spot. Braden DeVito, 1,036 yards, 74 completions, 14 touchdowns, 14 yards per completion for Mr. DeVito. But now on the top spot, he was number 2 last week. He is number 1 this week, thanks in part to a 250-yard passing performance and a 1-point loss to Cardington. That's Jax Lester of the Bulldogs of East Knox. 14 of 23 last week, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have a pick, but a great performance despite the loss against Cardington. Lincoln. Jax Lester this week, he is your passing leader throughout North Central Ohio. So a couple new names in there. You have Kuhn in there from Crestview. You have Miley in there from Northmore, a couple to mention. And then Jax Lester, he is your new number 1 passer midway through the season. There's a lot of time left for Mr. DeVito and company to catch him and shake up the top 10. So we have our passers, now the guys that receive some of those passes. It is our receiving leaders through week number 5. At number 10, Levi Teal. So we have a number 10 passer from Mohawk. We have a number 10 receiver from Mohawk. Just over 300 yards receiving, 11 catches, so 27.9 yards per catch for him. He has 4 touchdowns. We have our number 3 passer in Smith. Well, he throws to our number 9 receiver. That is Eli Snyder. 317 receiving yards on the season. He has 26 catches. He has 2 touchdowns. Both of those touchdowns you're going to see actually right here. He had one against Harding, and he had one earlier this season in their opener against Elgin. 12.19 yards per catch for Mr. Snyder. Now to number 8, Josh Heilman, cracking into the top 10 from the Upper Sandusky Rams. 319 receiving yards, 16 catches, almost 20 yards per catch, 4 touchdowns for him. To number 7, Logan Namaas, starting to crawl up the rankings. 326 receiving yards on 15 catches and 3 touchdowns. Hayden Love still in this countdown because, well, he helped himself out this past week in their blowout win, Centerburg's blowout win against Loudonville. Hayden Love getting a turnover on defense and then immediately getting rewarded with a big touchdown catch. He is now at 328 receiving yards, 12 catches, 5 touchdowns, 27.3 yards per catch. He is tied with our number 5 receiver. That is Carter Goon, the tight end. 328 yards, but he has 15 catches, 21.8 yards per reception for him. Our number 4 receiver is tops in the KMAC in receiving. That is the speedster Connor Stockdale. 385 receiving yards on 27 catches, 14.2 yards per catch, 4 touchdowns for him, and he showed out against Danville. No touchdowns in the game, but he made big plays like you just saw there to help the Golden Knights pull away and get the big win at Tough Street Stadium. Now to the top 3, you needed at least 420 receiving yards to crack the top 3 this week. Paxton Flores dropped down 1. He's number 3 now, 420 yards, 20 catches, 21 yards per catch, and 3 touchdowns. Parker Weithman, almost at 500 yards receiving. He's at 470, 21 catches, 22 yards per catch, and 6 touchdowns. And still our number 1 receiver by over 150 yards. Nearly 150 yards. Missed it by 3, but he still is the leader. That is Brady Bowman of the undefeated state number 1 Shelby Whippet. 617 receiving yards, 34 catches, 18 yards per catch, 9 total touchdowns for Mr. Bowman as Shelby continues to roll. They're at River Valley this week. We'll see what number 1 can do against number 9 in our top 10. That is Eli Snyder versus Mr. Brady Bowman, once again on top of the list. So there are your passing and receiving leaders here throughout week number 5. We'll get to our rushers right after this quick message from Pinnacle Building Services.
Every time that we walk in, we know we're going to walk into a place that's very clean, and when we walk in, we have a professional environment to come to. The reliability of Pinnacle is always on the spot. We've been with them 16 years so far. They're committed, they are professional, they are very transparent with their pricing, and they excel at meeting every goal and every need we have.
Again, thank you to Pinnacle Building Services for sponsoring the stat leaders throughout this season. Time now for our final stats leaders of the night. It is our rushing leaders. And once again, a Mohawk Warrior is at number 10. Caden Bish, 533 rushing yards so far this season on 53 carries, 10 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns for him. At number 9, Cy Wallace of Danville got shut down in his game against Northmore. 540 yards, tied with Blake Sykes. We have some KMAC players tied at 540 yards, 76 carries, 7 yards per carry, and 5 touchdowns. At number 8, it is Blake Sipes of the Fredericktown Freddies. A tough loss, their first loss of the season to the Mount Gilead Indians, but he has as well 540 rushing yards on 71 carries and 6 touchdowns. Huge night from the Centerburg Trojans on the ground as Blaine Ball, 589 rush yards now for the Trojans on 145 carries. Him alongside Miles Marshall nearly rushed for 400 yards on Friday night. He rushed 11 times for 183 yards and 3 touchdowns. The number 7 rusher at 589 yards, 6 touchdowns for him. Number 6, West Holmes, Brady Bowman, over the 600-yard mark on the season. Only took him 92 carries, so just over 6.5 yards per carry. He has 5 touchdowns. Our number 5 rusher, well, we talked about Ball. There's Marshall as well. He had a big performance, 630 yards rushing on the season. He went for 192 against Loudonville, 74 carries, 8.5 yards per carry, 10 touchdowns for him. Now to our number 4 rusher, and it is the power back from the Hillsdale Falcons. That is one Owen Sloan. Mr. Sloan had 178 rushing yards against Doughton, 17 carries and 2 scores for him as the Falcons, I should say, are flying at 5-0. They got that big matchup against Smithville. Like I said, live and free on Friday night. I'll be on the call of that for homecoming. He's at 675 on the season, 9.3 yards per carry, and 9 touchdowns. Now to the top 3 rushers on the season. First, Landon Weigel had himself a game against St. Paul. He had 5 total touchdowns in their victory. He's at 753 yards on 97 carries, almost 8 yards per carry, and 15 touchdowns. Carson Barnum has been bumped from the top spot. 902 yards, 145 carries, 6.2 yards per carry, and 7 touchdowns. However, they are still 5-0 after knocking off Fredericktown. They'll take on East Knox coming up on Friday night. But a running back that knocked off the Bulldogs on Friday night, Wyatt Denny. He is your rushing leader once again, back at the top where he's been quite a few times over the past couple of seasons. He has 929 rushing yards on 145 carries, 6.41 yards per carry, and 9 touchdowns for him. Your rushing leader through 5 weeks of the season. There are your top 10. Once again, Wyatt Denny, Carson Barnum, the KMAC represented well. 6 of the 10 running backs or quarterbacks, running backs, rushers, I should say, are in the top 10. But there is all of your leaders throughout, rushing, passing, and receiving through week 5. Halfway done, but we still have plenty of more stat leaders segments coming your way. You know these rankings will be moving from 1 to 10, up and down. More players will be coming in, more players will be dropping out, and then we will get to the end after week 10 of the season. But once again, I want to thank Pinnacle Building Services for sponsoring this segment. Each week, they are sponsoring the stat leaders for the season. But that'll do it. Look to see you tomorrow night. We'll have volleyball, and then Friday night, more football action coming your way. But for now, I'm out.